Hi there, I'm Terry Lancaster, #1 best-selling author of Better, Self-Help for the Rest of Us, and you're listening to The 360 Entrepreneur with Jan Ilonga.
This is episode 167, and today we talk about becoming the best version of yourself. Here we go.
Welcome to the 360 Entrepreneur Podcast, the show for entrepreneurs and small business owners who dream big and want to do bigger. Join some of the world's top entrepreneurs, internet marketers, and best-selling authors as they share their inspiring stories, their struggles, and give actionable tips that will help you build, grow, and promote your online business. Here's your host, Yanni Lunga.
Well, hello there. How's it going? Welcome to this new episode of the 360 Entrepreneur. And to some extent, today's conversation ties in perfectly to last week's episode. Last week, we talked about the perfect day formula with Craig Ballantyne. And today, we're going to get some food for thoughts and tips for becoming the best version of ourselves. Practical things, small things that are gonna have a huge impact. And today we're joined by speaker, author, and overall nice guy, Terry Lancaster. The show notes for today are over at yannilunga.com/episode 167. All right, time to dive into the conversation with Terry Lancaster from terrylancaster.com. Hey everybody, in this episode, we're gonna focus on you, and you're gonna hear some things you can think about and do in order to become the better version of yourself, to become a better entrepreneur, a better business owner. And we're joined by a keynote speaker and #1 best-selling author who writes and speaks about the power of habit, focus, and flow. He helps people build better lives, better careers, and businesses starting right here, right now. He's the author of the #1 bestseller, Better, Self-Help for the Rest of Us, and he has been featured in places like Forbes, TEDx, The Good Man Project, and he's here on the podcast. I'm so thrilled to welcome Terry Lancaster. Terry, how's it going?
Jan, I'm fantastic, brother. How are you doing today?
I'm great, and there is something I have to share with you, Terry, that it's so funny because I mentioned your book, Better, Self-Help for the Rest of Us, and we're going to hear about that in a second. And I remember you released the book a few months ago, and I remember for a certain period of time, YouTube was really targeting me because I don't know how many times I saw ads from your book, and I was like, okay, this looks like something YouTube really wants me to check out. So I finally did check it out, and here we are. So I want to say, first of all, thank you for being here, Terry, and I'm really pumped about the conversation we're about to having.
All right, thanks, man. Thanks for being. And let me tell you, YouTube targeting you was no accident. I've been a marketer for 30 years. You were on the hit list, baby. I wanted you to see it.
Well, hey, it worked. So, Terry, I think the first question I have to ask you is to tell us a bit more about your #1 best-selling book, because I saw on your site when I was preparing some notes that somebody referred to it as one of the most hilarious, if not the most hilarious, self-help book. So, what is Better, Self-Help for the Rest of Us, Terry?
Well, the idea behind the book is so many self-help books. If you go on Amazon or you go into Barnes & Nobles, all the self-help books have these perfect people on the front, and they all look like Tony Robbins, and they got perfectly white teeth,
right.
And they've already got six-pack abs, and they got the perfect supermodel hair, and they don't look like they need no dang help. And Better is for average people. It's for regular, everyday Joes who maybe they don't have six-pack abs and maybe they don't have perfectly white teeth, but they still deserve to be better. Mm-hmm. So the concept is to give up on the pursuit of perfection. And these other self-help books, they tell you, you got to run a marathon, you got to make $1 million, you got to be a movie star. They tell you to build this dream board, vision board of what you want to accomplish in your life and how you're going to build a yacht and a skyscraper. And Better isn't about that. Better is about taking the life that you're living right now, this moment, and making it one better, taking definite actions, one little step at a time to make this life better.
I love it. I love what you just told us, Terry. And I know, I mean, if somebody goes to your site, terrylancaster.com, and they click on the book tab and they see the book cover, I mean, right from there, one can tell that, okay, what you just told us is really what the book is about. So it is a book for really everybody who's here with us, who really wants to become a better person. And Terry, obviously, I dare to say 99% of the people, they want to be better, whether it's on a personal level, on a professional level. But, we kind of strive to be better, but there is always something holding us back. So in your experience, maybe some of the things you talk about in the book, or some of your clients or colleagues, people like that, what would you say are some of the things that are kind of holding? Let's talk about business people, so entrepreneurs and small business owners, back from becoming the better version of themselves.
Well, it's surprising how much business and personal you have the same hindrances. And the biggest hindrance we face, whether it's in our personal lives, whether it's our personal health and wellness and well-being, or whether it's in our business life, the biggest hindrance that I find is perfectionism. We want to be perfect. And you take it from an entrepreneur standpoint. Entrepreneurs, we'll go listen to every webinar. We'll go every seminar. We'll read every book. We'll read Inc. magazine from cover to cover, and we're looking for that perfect idea. We're looking for the one guru who's really got it wired. We want the guy who's figured it all out, and we want some of that mojo to rub off on us. And so we'll sit around and we'll build perfect business plans and perfect business models, and we'll work on our click funnels until our eyes are bleeding, just trying to get everything absolutely perfect. And we spend more time planning than we spend doing.
Right.
And that's the point. My favorite quote of all time is from Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Right.
And for the first time you get punched in the mouth, your plan is out the window. And from that moment on, it's scrambling. And I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I've been in business, the business I'm in now, for 20 some odd years. And every day I'm scrambling. And it's great to have a plan. It's great to have an idea where you're going. But what matters is not what you plan. What matters is not what you want. What matters is what you do every dang day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Terry, I love your energy, the reality check you're giving us, and I so know what you mean. I mean, not only, first of all, I experienced that firsthand. So I remember buying online courses, attending webinars, buying books, and be like, yeah, this is so great. I'm so gonna start this project. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be perfect. And then, I've never got it started, or maybe if I did, I then didn't continue and finish and then launch. But I also have seen people in my space, for example, in the podcasting space, people who spend 3, 4, 5, 6 months planning their podcast. And it's all about launching, really, because there are certain things that we can strategize and think about things theoretically all day long, but at the end of the day, there are certain things that we are gonna learn and that are gonna happen only when we have launched. So thank you, Terry, really, for giving us that reality check. And okay, so we've touched on kind of what is the number one thing that is really holding entrepreneurs and small business owners back from becoming better. So you said it, we have to take action every single day. So do you have any advice on what action could be, or what are some of the things we can do on a day after day, week after week, so that we take the necessary steps toward our goals and we're gonna crush those?
Well, I mean, of course, every business is different, but
Right.
Every business is in the business of creating customers. So you need to get in the habit, and that's a lot of what I talk about in the book, is developing habits, because you have a plan, but unless it becomes a habit, then it's going to get pushed off to the side. So the number one habit I want to build, the number one habit I work on is connecting with customers. Now, maybe that means taking a half hour out of every day and picking up the phone and calling customers and doing it dedicated. And for half hour, that's all you do. You pick up the phone and you call customers. But we have a device in our hand. Most people are probably listening to it, holding it in their hand right now while they're listening to us talk. It can put you in connection with pretty much everyone in the world. You have a huge network available to you. And you've heard the old saying that, when opportunity knocks, you have to open the door. And a lot of times we're sitting around, we're waiting for opportunity to knock. But opportunity doesn't knock because it doesn't have any arms. Opportunity is just this ethereal idea. People knock. And people come with connections, and connections come with opportunities. And I've thought about this long and hard, and I can't think of a single business opportunity that doesn't come connected to a person. So if you start building the habit of connectivity, whether it's on an old-fashioned cold call, or whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn, and start connecting with people. And I'm not talking about getting 127,000 Twitter followers. I'm not talking about trying to max out the 5,000 people you can get on Facebook. I'm not talking about connecting with everyone you could possibly connect with for the sake of connecting, because that's not a connection. That's just a number. People aren't numbers. People are people. And what matters is developing honest human relationships with as many people as you can, online and offline, whether it's the person, checking you out at the grocery store, or the person who's doing the podcast with you from Helsinki, Finland. If you can form an honest human connection and find that joint common human ground, then something's going to come from that. And you build from that, and you wish them happy birthday on Facebook, and you tell them that you're sorry when their cat died, and you do all the things that friends do, and then you sell them something, because friends like to buy from friends. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. So start building more honest human connections. And like I said, I'm not talking about connecting with everyone you can, and 5 seconds after you meet them, sending them a direct message, hey, would you like to buy my new sunglasses? Hey, would you like to buy whatever? I'm talking about getting to know people on an honest human level, and then every once in a while selling them something. My favorite thing about this is Gary Vaynerchuk. He's got the book Jab, 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 Right Hook. And you have to soften people up. And it's just that. Every connection, every interaction, every time you like, poke, tweet, retweet, that's a jab. That's just forming the bond, forming the relationship. But every once in a while, you got to swing the big right hook, and you've got to go in and you got to ask them to buy something. Because if you're not asking somebody to buy something, then everything else is just a conversation. If you're not asking somebody to buy something, you're not doing business.
Yeah, no, Terry, there is so much gold in what you just told us. And what I like about your words is that you said it. We should really focus on building real relationships. And you used the word friend. And I think that's a very powerful word, especially because, if we connect with somebody, it can be through an email, through a podcast interview, through a tweet, whatever, and we build that honest connection. I know I don't have any problem in promoting my friend's new book, upcoming webinar, new course. I'm happy to do it, even if I'm maybe not an affiliate. I know I've done that many times. So that's also a great opportunity to really grow our business and market our businesses, building connections and see, okay, can we help each other's out? Maybe we have similar audiences or we have different audiences, but it could be a good thing to collaborate. Maybe we co-host a webinar, or if that's not the case, we can also do, as you said, at some point we may say, hey, Terry, I'm thinking of launching a course about XYZ. I thought it would be great for you. What do you say? Would you like to check it out? If so, I'm happy to make you one of the first users or those kind of things. And they can really go a long way. And also, Terry, I really like that you mentioned that, because I think that oftentimes we look at successful people in our space and we hear all these big numbers being thrown out there. For example, if we think about the email list, okay, join 50,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers. So sometimes we may think, well, I'm maybe just starting out, or I have only 1,000 subscribers or whatever, that's nothing. But you said it, if we put in the work and we focus on building the connection or connections, one connection at a time, great things are really going to happen. And it's something that doesn't happen overnight. It's about really being consistent, putting the work in every single day. But, I love it. And I think nothing trumps real hard work. And when it comes to relationship building, Terry, do you have any particular best practice you follow, or is there something you do that has worked out well, or maybe you've seen somebody else doing that in terms of building customer relationships? Obviously, as you said, every business is different, every market is different, but still, do you have something for us?
I tell you, the one thing I've done that has changed things for me is, we're all busy and we've got a million things going on, and our phones are dinging all the time, and we got our email open. We got 17 tabs open on Chrome, and we've got a lot going on. And so it's real easy. And especially in the age that we live in, where most of our communication now is nonverbal. Most of our communication is done through a text or is done through an email. And it's real easy to take that communication and make it transactional. So that every communication is, boom, here's the file. Right. Boom, here's the invoice. Boom, here's you want. Boom, boom, here's the thing you asked me for. And everything is boom, 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 boom. And there's no humanity to it. Mm-hmm. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I made the decision. Number one, I made the decision that I was going to change the role that gratitude played in my life. I was going to be grateful for every blessing that I had in my life, whether that blessing was the sun shining on my face every day, or whether it was a customer calling me from 1,000 miles away with a problem about something that we had done that I needed to solve. If it was a customer, I should be grateful for that interaction to it. And I started putting 2 simple words in every email that I sent out. Every time I send an email, whereas normally I would send someone something and go, here's the thing, and boom, right. It's done. So now I do the same thing. I start every email, or I end every email with 2 words. Thanks, comma, the person's name. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Bob. Here's the thing. Thanks, Dan. Here's the invoice that you asked for. Thanks, Susie. I'll be back in touch as soon as I know that. But the simple fact of taking a second, to use the person's name, to acknowledge their humanity, to let them know you're a person and not just right. some other task that I have to cross off my to-do list. And then 2, thank you. Thank you are the 2 most powerful words in the world, not only for them to hear it, but for me to express it, to remind myself that I'm grateful for this human being that's on the other side of this transaction, whether they're 1,000 miles away or whether they're in the next room. I'm thankful for what we had. I acknowledge their humanity. Thank you. And that's changed a lot for me in the tone of my business transactions.
Funny, Terry, you mentioned that because I have actually, my background is in communication. So I did my bachelor's in science of communications, and my major in the master's was media and global communication. So I really pay attention to those kind of things. For example, if I have an email exchange with somebody, I really notice if a person is simply saying, okay, thanks, or here's the thing, like you said, or if somebody takes those 30 additional seconds to address you, use your first name, maybe ask you, okay, hey, how is your week going? Or I hope you're having a great day. And then mention the reason why they contacted you. So it's interesting you bring that up. And I like it because I really think that it's something that helps you also stand out for the fact that, many people are just going down to it. So they're like, hey, here's the thing. Thanks. That's it. But if you take those additional 30 seconds, because really it doesn't take longer than that to put in the person's first name and maybe ask them a question or wish them a great day or an awesome weekend or whatever the case may be, I think that immediately puts people in kind of in a different mindset. They make them feel a bit more open. So thank you, Terry, for mentioning that to all of us. And I want to point out a couple of links. So in the show notes, you find the link to Terry's site, terrylancaster.com. You find also the link to his Facebook page. So if you want to put into practice some of the things Terry and I have talked about, you want to connect with him, you want to say thank you for this conversation, or maybe you have a question and you want to ask that, you can go to the show note page and connect with Terry on Facebook. And you also find the link to his #1 bestseller, Better Self-Help for the Rest of Us. Okay, Terry, so we've talked about some of the kind of what is holding entrepreneurs back. We've talked about some of the best practices. You talked about customer relationships. And I want to ask you something about vulnerability, being vulnerable, because this ties a bit into what you told us when you, at the beginning, you talked about why you wrote the book, what type of book it is. So it's for real people. And a question I have to ask you is about, as I said, vulnerability, because I remember I saw you had a post where you talked about how Toastmaster helped you overcome your fear of public speaking. So can you take a moment, Terry, to kind of take us back to those times and tell us how you overcame that fear?
Well, the story you're talking about is actually is going to be in Toastmasters magazine, I think, in their next issue. And I tell the story. I got invited to give a speech in Dallas, Texas, and it was the first time I'd ever gone to one of these big speeches. It was at a sales managers conference, and I went and I practiced every word, and I practiced every dramatic gesture and every dramatic pause, and I really had it down to a science. And it just didn't go as planned. I had hiccups from the start. My plane got delayed, so I got into the late. My luggage got lost, so I spent a day wandering around in my shorts and flip-flops. And then I had audio-visual problems. And I get up there, and I made a horrible, horrible mistake. And I realized, because I tried to memorize my speech, and I couldn't memorize it, so I had the notes in front of me. And I'm 51 years old, so I had to wear reading glasses to see my notes, and I had reading glasses on to see my notes. I couldn't see anyone in the audience, so instead of talking to a human being, I was talking to a blur of lights, and it started off bad, and it went downhill fast.
Whoa.
And it's not like anyone booed me off the stage. I still gave great information. They didn't run me out at the end with pitchforks and torches or anything, but it just didn't go well. I didn't knock it out of the park.
Right.
And I tell this story, and what happened is I flew back to Nashville, and the next day I joined Toastmasters, and I started working on speaking every day, and I'd go to Toastmasters and I'd stand up and give my speech, and I'd stand up and I learned to talk from the heart instead of talking from the head. And if you're talking from the heart, you don't have to worry about your notes. You don't have to worry about memorizing your speech. You just have to say what's in your heart. And if you have the right thing in your heart, and you're telling a story instead of giving statistics or trying to, I think what gets people in trouble is they try to appear to be something they're not.
Right.
They're afraid to be themselves. But if you're willing to open up and just stand up and speak out and say what's in your heart, you don't need notes, and the story will come right out. And I think the reason this connects with people is because it is vulnerability, and it's being authentic. And it's exactly what I was talking about when you're talking to the grocery clerk at the grocery store. Just an authentic human moment. So many people, when they're doing even podcasts like this, they try to present themselves as something, and they want to appear professional, and they want to appear like a big deal. Well, I'm a middle-aged, overweight redneck from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm not anything. I'm not trying to be anything. I'm trying to be me better. And I think it all goes back to just being who you are. You have this one life to live, and you have the responsibility, and the resources to live it better. And if you spend all of your time trying to be something you're not, then you're never going to be grateful for what you are. And I think just setting back, accepting you with all your flaws, with all your warts, and presenting that to the world. And I tell everyone that the life you lead is the story you tell the world. But the story you tell the world changes the world. And that's why you have the responsibility to be better. Be exactly who you are, only better, and that will make the world better.
Thank you, Terry, for sharing your story with us. And I mean, I think that we really got the lesson that why trying to be somebody we are not? Why trying to present ourselves in a different way we are. And this really applies, you said it applies to every single aspect of our professional and personal life. I mean, if we think about social media, for example, I don't know about you, Terry, but I start to feel a bit tired sometimes when I open Facebook or Instagram and whatever. And the only thing I see are pictures that, that it took the person maybe 10 minutes to take that picture because they maybe placed, if it's a picture of a plate, for example, or of food, they placed the food in a certain way and maybe they moved glasses around and all those kind of things. So I think it's really important to take to heart what you told us there and really just try to, not really try, just be ourselves. Because I mean, people are gonna connect with us probably online if that's where we are, maybe through podcast interviews or maybe in person at conferences. And if we are trying to be somebody we are not, it's gonna be way more difficult. And as you said with the example of the Toastmaster in your presentation, we're gonna face situations where things don't go according to plan and we're gonna be like, uh-oh, what do I do now? But if we're just being ourselves, when those situations happen, we know exactly what to do because we won't have to really try to figure out something. We're just gonna go, as you said, with our heart. And this has been a very inspiring conversation, Terry. I want to say, first of all, thank you for taking the time for being here, for firing all of us up, for telling us more about your book, Better Self-Help for the Rest of Us. And I mentioned your site, terrylancaster.com. I mentioned your Facebook page. And to wrap up this conversation, I want to ask you for some final words of encouragement, some final words of wisdom for everybody who's here with you and I. What can we do to really become a better man, a better woman, a better entrepreneur, a better public speaker, a better small business owner?
Well, I think it's just what we've said, that no one's got it figured out. The people on Facebook who look like you got it figured out, they do not have it figured out. The newscasters on TV who have perfectly blow-dried hair and perfectly made-up faces who look like they've got it figured out, they do not have it figured out. The politicians who stand up in front of microphones and tell us how to fix the world because they think they've got it figured out, they do not have it figured out. Right. No one's got it figured out. There is no magic easy button. Nobody's got it wired. You're just as valuable. You're just as important. You're just as much as anyone in the entire universe. You have magic within you. And all you have to do is accept that. Just be who you are and start. And that's my number one advice when I'm talking to entrepreneurs is, it's great to have a plan, but it's better to start. So get started now.
I love it. Terry, again, really thank you for sharing your wisdom with all of us. And you heard it. Get started. So you have been maybe thinking about writing a book, starting a business, launching a podcast, creating an online course, whatever the thing is. Just if you have enjoyed this conversation with Terry and I, really take the first step and get started today. And we are back. Terry, thank you so much for the inspiration and for this interview. And you heard it. You can come up with your secret sauce. I mean, that's a combination of your personality, your traits, both good and bad ones, by the way, your story, and combine that with what you teach, with what you sell, with what you market. All right, this is it for today. Again, make sure to check out the show notes for this episode with the links to everything Terry Lancaster and I have talked about over at janilunga.com/episode 167. In next week's episode, we're going to talk about some of the things you can do to create a great customer life cycle. This is it. Again, thank you, and have yourself a fantastic day. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the 360 Entrepreneur Podcast. For more tips and tools, head over to www.janilunga.com.